Good morning and welcome to Locked In on Lockdown. My name's Alex Elaine.
I'm Jack Gerards.
And as always, we're bringing you that daily source of motivation, inspiration, and actionable insights to help you get your mind right and your day started the right way. So Jack, what are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about analysis paralysis. And this is actually a topic of conversation that you introduced me to, or at least I feel like this maybe is your phrase. But I think it's quite an important thing. Again, as always, it's important to talk about this. We don't bring you anything that's not important during the podcast. But I've had so many conversations with friends recently who have said, oh, the coronavirus is preventing me from being able to do X, Y, and Z. And I think Alex and I just thought it's really important that we sit down and we talk about how barriers to entry can kind of stop you from making progress.
Yeah. As you know, I love the topic. I get quite passionate about it. And it's trying to get people to move past this debate of almost good enough versus perfection. And a lot of us, I think, are perfectionists. We always want to get the quality right. We want to make sure that every little detail is covered. And the reality is we get so caught up in that mindset and that culture of perfectionism that we end up sometimes just not taking action and getting started. So I'm much more in the camp of get started, get feedback, then refine your approach versus trying to get everything right from the beginning, because you could be surprised at what people say back to you. And actually, you know, they might say to you, even if you think it's perfect, that what about doing this or what about doing that? So just focus on getting feedback and just getting started. I mean, what do you think, Jack?
I 100% agree with you. And I think one of the more recent things that I've learned is there's so much value in failure when it comes to this process, right? Because I think a lot of the time people want everything to be perfect to avoid failure, or if not to avoid failure, to get as quickly as possible to success. But my perspective is shifting more and more as the days go by, that, and this is a lesson that I've learned from doing my 1,000-day challenge, is that seeking failure is something that should be integral to your daily process, because that's where you learn. You have to learn through failure. And I think sometimes we do get in our own way and impede our progress by wanting everything to be perfect from the jump, which is just not possible.
So Jack, I know obviously through our friendship we've spoken, and you've said you've had your own experiences of thinking about things and being a bit of a perfectionist sometimes. So what actionable steps or tips, or how did you get yourself to a point where you started to get from idea to action versus idea to plan, action?
I think for me, one of the key elements has been thinking less. So as soon as I will have a thought of this is what I want to do. So in my office space, I have loads of picture frames, empty picture frames that I've written on that have all of my ideas on them. But if I'm in the middle of already doing something and I have an idea that I can use to develop it, typically, if I have the space or the time to be able to do that, I will take immediate action. And that is definitely something that I've picked up from you, Alex. I've just seen how you take massive action in the conversations that we've had regarding social media, with that being more my area of expertise, and the knowledge that I've given you literally within the space of 12 hours. I've seen you take huge amounts of action, and I realize how important that is. And the reason why, not to talk too much, but the reason why is because when you're doing work behind the scenes, sure, you're making personal progress, but when you put it out into the public, you allow that work that you've done to be received by other people. And that can actually, as we were talking about the other day, help to compound your progress and give you a much bigger reach or much greater level of success. So just take action. What about yourself? What you're the master of this one, so you can tell them.
It's a great point that you made, and a lot of the time when I think about this conceptually, I look back to when I started blogging, and I started blogging actively back in July last year, and I mainly started on LinkedIn, and then I started putting the blogs on my own website. But when I look back to my very first blog articles versus the one today, the difference is enormous. And the reality is that in July, what I did was I just got started. I didn't know what was going to work. I didn't know what the right length was. I didn't know what was going to resonate with the audience. And I think on that first post, I got a couple of hundred views. But what I got was also 3 or 4 comments and 1 or 2 direct messages. And people said, hey, Alex, I love the length. The thing I love about it most is that they're short, they're concise, they're to the point. And then other people told me, oh, Alex, you had a typo here or a grammar mistake here, and whatever the case was. But what I got was feedback. I got feedback from the community to say, hey, Alex, this is what I love. This is what I don't like so much. Here's how you can refine and get better. And what I did is I kept the cadence and consistency of putting out the blog posts week in, week out, week in, week out. And what started to happen is you get more and more feedback, you refine your approach, and now that same blog, my same blog site now has almost 12,000 subscribers. On average, I'm doing between 4,000 and 5,000 views per post. And that's just to say that the consistency over time with the feedback has now meant that I'm getting great results. But it all started with a starting point. And that starting point was not perfectionism. It was good enough. It was something that allowed me to get to market, get to feedback, and take action. And we're seeing the same thing with the podcast and everything else that we do. It all starts with the mindset of just make it good enough. Chase perfection over time as a continual thing to have momentum on.
And I think that can be quite surprising advice for a lot of people to say, just make it good enough. And especially, you know, considering the school that we went to, that is definitely not the advice that they would have given us. But I really do think it's important. And the reason why we're talking about this specifically today is because I've had, as I said, a wealth of conversations with friends recently regarding the coronavirus and how this really is such a huge opportunity to double or triple down on your existing goals. And a lot of people have come back to me and said, oh, I can't do this because, you know, of X, Y, and Z. Even friends who want to start podcasts. And I'm saying to them, guys, look, I've literally started a podcast myself. Sure, we need to work on the audio. Sure, we need to work on the quality of the video cameras. Today, you've noticed that both Alex and I, we've changed our setup in terms of the background. But what we mean to say with this is that you can make progress as you go along. No one's going to judge you in your initial days because they know that you haven't refined your craft as of yet. People expect for you to make progress. They will give you that room and that space to be able to do that. So just take action, and learn as you go. Exactly.
And, you know, some people might think that, you know, I'm a bit harsh or heavy in saying this, but it gets to the point where people are just using excuses because the same people that, you know, 6 months ago said they don't have the time to do it, I'm now having the conversation that they haven't got as much going on. So you do have the time, but you're still finding another way out of not getting started. So right now, I don't want to hear the excuses. Find a way to make it happen. Even if you're low on time, we've all got a window. It's about how you prioritize in your day. Whatever it is that you prioritize, you make happen. So if you need to rejig your order, bring it up higher on the list, do it. But no excuses. Today, excuses end. You got this weekend, get started. Jack, number 1 actionable tip. What's your takeaway? What do people need to do?
Think less, do more. Think less, do more. If you know that there's something that you want to do, do not get in your way. Do not think yourself out of it. Just take action, fail forward, fail fast, and just keep pushing. What about yourself?
What I want everyone to do, as soon as this video ends, whatever it is that's top of mind, start it right now. No more delaying, no more procrastinating. You come off this video, you get your notepad and your pen, you write your game plan, and you start today. And by Sunday, go and report to someone how much progress you've made over the next 48 hours. That's my little challenge for all of you. Comment below whatever it is that you're going to start. Let us know. And
we'll check up on you. We'll check up on you. I love doing that. Let's do that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. Stay locked in.
Signing out. See you on the next one.
Take care.